6 days ago now was the first time I had dumbbell inclined in over a year and a half. So, everything we do in the weight room is A, a practice skill, but B, I've been training largely on machines and cables, so not a ton of stability, and especially overhead stability. So, coming over to a free weight exercise, the rate limiting factor for me right now is my stability. And the change that he made, dropping it from like what was basically a shoulder press, like he explained it to y'all, to better angle for my pecs, definitely helped. But it's definitely something that I'll make progressions with quick. Last time I trained, my top set was like 100 for 12. I did the 110s for like 16, and then the 125s for 10, and I'm still, like, especially on the 125 for 10 set, spending more energy trying to keep that arm locked down and stable than I am pressing half the time. So
it's like when you have that injury profile too, like the progressions on those rep ranges should probably look like +3 on the rep range before you move that load up. It's like he pressed 100s for 16, like that target range 8 to 12, like you're taking that to 15, 16 before you're taking that load progression. To me, it's more impressive to end up pressing 150s for 15 with complete control than just throwing around a 180 for 7 or 8 reps that looks awful. And when we talk about hypertrophy, that net total mechanical tension stimulus has a quality of the rep portion of it as well. So it's important to keep you injury free, but also progressing over a long period of time.
I've gotten my bones as mobile as they're going to get without some resistance assistance. So, yeah, we're about to get to it. But yeah, training today with Luke and Josh. Luke obviously has been on the channel a bunch now at this point. He's one of the very few people that I just shut the hell up and listen to whenever they're talking and I'm training with them. So looking forward to that today. I always pick up some little gems from him. So, anticipating today to be no different. And then, Josh is fresh off of getting married. Josh is a friend of mine. He's also a big, strong fuck. So looking forward to training with him today. He's coached by Luke. And the session we have today, there's a couple exercises that'll kind of need to be like improvisedly set up that we'll need 3 people for. So more on that when we get to it.
Try one thing for me. Josh is a strong fuck on pressing and pulling. Squatting, he's still way behind me, even though I have not pursuing the bodybuilding, but we'll get him there. He's moving fast. He's only into bodybuilding like 2 years. He was already a super heavyweight at his first show, so it's just a matter of time. We're putting in the work now to be a super heavyweight at a national show. The next showing, 24 is probably the next go for him. But yeah, really excited for him as far as like from a coaching standpoint, just because the rate of progress, we're already in the 260s and we just started our off season 2 weeks ago. Just on the cable height. So one of the biggest mistakes I see with this is cable height. The cable will actually be coming like over the shoulder, which will actually kind of pull you into that external rotation. So you'll see like on this setup with Hunter, it's like going straight through that shoulder joint as he presses out. So that translation of force doesn't pull him back into that rotation, which is gonna lead to a lot of like anterior pec issues and potentially even like rotator cuff issues. So the setup here is important also with the incline of the bench.
Alternatively, I was gonna say that, you don't want to have the incline of the bench set, but to have it at the right height for your shoulder is wrapping around your forearm as you complete the rep.
Yeah, so it's kind of a dual balancing act of finding the right incline bench so that you're pressing in that flat plane, but also have the cable path going where it's not pulling into rotation. But this is not the setup Hunter uses at the Labrada HQ, but it's good, it works.
We have prime setup at home setup.
How much you weigh now, Hunter?
275-ish fasted.
see like pressing stability when you haven't done this pattern is typically the biggest rate limiter. With Josh, we know that that's his rate limiter within pressing. It's also why his primary press is an incline dumbbell press to work on. That's the greatest function out there. This cable just exposes that even more. So the balance versus that is like, where do we take output versus where do we take stability? Hunter's problem is not stability in this plane, so this is a great primary movement for you. Where for Josh, it's like there's such a stability lack right now that until that's fixed, it can't be a primary.
And I'll say this right now, preemptively, when we go over to the dumbbells, y'all will A, see the fact that I haven't pressed in 2 years until a week ago, but B, you will definitely see which of my shoulders has had the operation and the pathology, because I'm going to be like a newborn baby giraffe leg with my left arm on these. Or at least I was last week. Maybe I've gotten 100% better. We'll see. But
your old program, right? Like incline prime was such a big piece of that. That reason right there is why I say they need to redesign that. Because you've been doing a front delt press for what, 9 months?
yeah,
Like,
for sure.
you get a structure like yours, shorter arms, ribcage size, kind of a little bit on the smaller side. Like, man, that 45-degree incline press turns into a front delt press like that. Right, grandma press.
Probably my favorite thing. So we took it out last year during training. We were doing the prime incline press with plate loaded. And one big thing for me is going to be like stability in the pressing movement and a little bit of safety. Like the prime press, I just didn't fit in well. And so Luke's transitioned me over here to incline press probably last 2 months. And it's been something we've been progressing. And I love this exercise.
So like if you watch that arc on this piece, like all of these have cylindrical cams, right? So it's gonna follow the arc of the cylindrical cam. So on that way back down, right, it's coming this way, right? So what happens is you get people coming down and that rebound of like trying to press back up, it tilts them this way back
Really
into
out
that.
of position.
Really out of position, right?
Okay.
It's just like we were talking about with your setup, like how can I make you have that humerus pass straight down the line of the front delt? It's like that is a quick way to take you out of the humerus line of the front delt and really expose you to injury. Again, we talked about it, like the less torque you can create when you can press in straight lines, the better. It's just we have cams that leave us in positions that are going to pull us into positions out of that line. Come on. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Good. I'm with him.
Go.
Yep.
Go.
Good.
Try. Come on.
Come on. I'm with you. Yep. Press up.
And yes, this is all in-depth stuff, but at the end of the day, it comes down to proper alignment. Proper alignment's gonna give you longevity in this sport. You don't wanna be one of those broke old men talking about how big they used to be with a bunch of shoulder surgeries and broke-ass elbows. And this is the kind of stuff that does make a difference, allows you to get big and stay healthy. So,
What'd you do? You took out your hips a little bit, or what was the
so
key?
if you watch what happens, the angle of my arm, so you see it's kind of jammed back in there. As I scoot my hip back, it gets everything lined up, or forward, gets everything lined up in a straight line with, for someone my size, with, you know, to be honest with you, the lack of mobility that I have, these are the kind of accommodations I need to make to stay in, you know, comfortable working planes, comfortable alignments. So, you know, like Luke said, a lot of the stuff that I'm starting to do, and you know, this goes back to the whole context thing. People see the way that, you know, like me and Ian and other pros train, and they take it as that's how they should train. Like, no, that's how we train now to accommodate the size that we've gotten to and the lack of mobility we've achieved. I'm saying it like it's a good thing, but yeah. So it comes down to fitting things to your body, and while it might be in-depth stuff, it does make a huge difference. So it pays to take the time to learn what he's saying, because I know it might have sounded like Spanish to a lot of y'all. Yep. Come on.
Good.
Another one. Come on, make this one happen. Beat me. Go. Hey-o. You got another one. Get there, get there, get there. Yes, sir. His dad's strength's kicking in prematurely. Baby's not here yet, but his body's sensing something.
Come on. Good rep. Yeah.
Had a really good session. Like I said, he's one of the very few people that I'll just shut up and listen to when I'm training with. And I'm not saying that in a I know it all way. I'm saying that, and I've gotten to a point where my level of knowledge is such that, you know, it's not every single person that has something to offer. It is, you know, more specialized people. So really appreciate days like this with him. Biggest takeaways for me, and I'll let him talk more about, you know, like the session structure and everything, but, you know, the biggest takeaways for me were, you know, never stop chasing making setups more, you know, particular to me. You know, I've gotten to the point where I am very abnormally sized and have abnormal muscle restrictions compared to a lot of people, so a lot of machines and typical setups aren't going to work. So, you know, like today even, you know, on that cable setup, bumping the cables up a notch and then dropping the bench back a little bit made that exercise a lot more comfortable for me and a lot better aligned. And then, you know, with the dumbbell incline, you know, in my mind it was like, okay, you're doing an incline press, you need to have the bench at a traditional incline height. No, you need to have the bench set at an incline height that makes it an incline exercise for you and not a front delt exercise like I'd been doing. So, you know, those are my two big takeaways from today. That and the body positioning and the shoulder press, which is something that I'd been doing. I'd been like sticking a yoga block behind my hips, but it's like one of those I probably need to stick like two in there after today. So that was my three big takeaways from today. I'll let Luke talk about the actual session.
Yeah, so the session structure is actually pretty good. For Hunter, like the stability factor in that cable press is not an issue where it doesn't take away from your output, right? So it's a good first movement for him, where other athletes that's not going to be the case. But just understanding that every setup for flat incline, whatever you want to call it, is just a relationship of rib cage to humerus length, and then where are you taking that movement. And if you just take the time to video like the angle of pressing from like a front view, whether that's over the top on a dumbbell press or from the front on the cable press, it's
pretty easy to figure out. Like, everybody's seen the chest fiber design of a pec on a skeleton, so it's just figuring out where you can take that humerus across the fibers you want to train. And for Hunter, it just very quickly turns into a front delt exercise with the shorter humerus and the ribcage structure being a little bit smaller, because that each incline up becomes a lot bigger of a jump relative to someone like me or Josh, who bigger ribcage, longer arms. So it's just being careful where, like, a front delt press for him is like a 45-degree incline, almost 60-degree maybe at the most.
I saw the angle that my body was at when I was in that prime press, whenever it was actually feeling good, and he had altered it.
Yeah, it's like 60 degrees, so it's like, man, why even take it overhead when we know he's got previous shoulder surgeries on that left side, right? Previous shoulder surgeries on that left side that's going to limit him overhead anyways. If I can train a front delt in a place that's more stable, like, just take it there, right? You're going to output more, you're going to create more mechanical tension. So a lot of it's just optimization of the session structure he had, because it's a good session, flat into incline. You're taking a lot of length and loading, which is best for hypertrophy, but it's making it go where you want it, where you don't crop up injuries or you don't bring things in that you don't want in the session. So
something that I wanted to say, and this is, I forgot who said this to me. I think it was probably it was probably Joe Bennett, because I've known it for a while, and for a long time he was like one of the very few people I really bought into learning from. But your training session is not the time to work on your mobility. And nor is your loaded exercises. You shouldn't be forcing your body into a position that's not optimal during your training sessions. Is it optimal for me, or is it, best from a bodybuilding standpoint that I have the lack of mobility that I do? No. Because my shoulders are so gunked up and I can only get to there, it greatly affects my external rotation for my back double bicep. So I'm not saying it's a good thing and not something that I'm working on. I'm very much so actively working on it, but my training sessions are not time to address that. The training sessions are time to put your body into a position that it can work efficiently and do what we're trying to do when we train, and that is cause muscle growth, hypertrophy. So that was a big one for me, was, there's varying schools of thought. I was like, no, make your body do what you want to do, put it in that position. I was like, I absolutely believe you should make your body do what you want to do, put it into the positions you want it to be able to be in, load those positions, but it should be done in a rehab setting or a prehab setting outside of your actual training session. So that was a big thing for me that I wanted to throw in there.